with you in the creative writing course by Henry Harvin, the basics of the story writing. What are the basics of the story writing? So I hope all of you are ready with your pen and paper. I suggest whenever you are watching a training or whenever you are taking any kind of self-paced learning or e-learning courses, better to sit with your pen and paper, especially when you are doing creative writing, because it's all about writing, right? So creative writing or content writing is all about writing. So you should keep making your notes, because that will really help you in the long run. Okay. Now, so coming on to the basics of story writing. So what is a story at the first place? So story can be fictional. Most of the time, it is the power of your imagination that goes to a reader, and anything that takes somebody from point A to point B is basically story. So let us just read one short story, that Her Share of Fries. So this is a story. This is called. This is a 100-word story. What it is called, I will explain it to you during the course. So he sat there. Now I have used semicolon here. Why I have used a semicolon, I have explained it in the previous video. So you can go back and see the punctuation rules in creative writing that I had created for you in the previous video in the module 2, right? So he sat there, fingers, face, and clothes all stained in red. He thought about the heinousness of what he had done. He saw her approaching and went cold in fright. Who's going to clean this mess? She asked with bloodshot eyes. He shivered in fear yet again and started to collect the pieces of broken glass. While she invigilated him, he mopped the floor hurriedly. This time, she would not forgive him, and he had no escape. He had not only eaten his wife's share of rice, but also broke the bottle of sauce and spilt it over the kitchen counters. So, a twist in the tale. So, this is how you write a story. There are two characters in the story. One is a man and his wife, and then there is a setting of the kitchen. So I will tell you what all it is about. So let's just go back to the basics of story writing. So a story is that something that is let's just discuss that if you have watched Three Idiots, if you watch any of the Hindi movies or any of the Bollywood movies, or let's say if you have watched Titanic is a movie that everybody has watched, right? So if you've watched any of the movies, the story starts from point A, right? It starts that a Titanic or a ship has started on a voyage, and it comes to the point B. It takes the characters to the point B as well, right? So, like the point B is the ship has sank. One of the characters has died, most important protagonist, or maybe the most important characters has died, and then there is this another character or one of the lead characters who survived, and how that is survived, and how is she going to live without him now. So now there is a point A where a ship started and the ship sank, the point B. So the entire story ran between the 2 points. So this is what a story is, okay? Or entire story was narrated between the 2 points. So this is what a story means, that something starts from point A and comes to an end, okay? Right? So what does a story need? A story need a basic plot. Let me just open a Word file for you once again, because what we learn on a Word file or what we take on a Word file is absolutely better than what we learn in terms of presentation. So what is a plot? So plot, let me just increase the font for you as well so that you are able to plot. So plot is the basic idea. So if I talk about the plot, so whatever story or whatever movies we watch, it always has a plot. It is a story or a movie is never, or a story is never without the plot. Plot is the basic idea of the movie, basically, right? So when you are understanding, or when you are watching a movie, or when you are reading a book, you need to understand what is the basic idea behind. Like all of you have watched Three Idiots, right? I'm sure all of you have watched Three Idiots. So what is the basic idea behind the story, or what is the plot of the story? The plot of the story is obviously learning versus success, right? So that is the plot of the story. So you need to have that basic idea in the mind, write it down, because if you do not write down the plot of your story, then you might deviate from the plot. Okay, So whenever you have an idea of the story or whenever you have the plot of the story, just write it down in 2 to 3 lines, because that is something which is highly important in terms of story writing. Because unless you know the value of plotting, it will be very difficult for you to create a story. Okay, that is called the plot of the story. Okay, now the next thing is that learning. Obviously, I told you about the learning versus success. Now, coming on to the next thing, which is called a setting. Setting is what? Setting is the place. So we will discuss Three Idiots throughout this session, because Three Idiots, I think everybody has seen Three Idiots, or we can discuss Titanic also if you have seen. So I'm sure I'll pick up 2 movies or maybe 2 stories which are which everybody has read or at least seen the movies. So when we talk about Three Idiots, the setting is in a college and then in Ladakh or maybe Shimla, right, for some time. So that is the setting of the story. Setting is basically about the place, the weather, the condition, the demographic of the protagonist and the story. It is all about the demographics of the story. That is called setting. So in Titanic, the entire setting of the story is on a ship, right? So nothing has changed there. There is single setting in the story, right? There's no that is called a static setting, and there is a dynamic setting in the story, which is where the settings change in the story. Okay. However, within the setting, there are other settings also. Like if you are showing a scene in your story in a room, so room is the backdrop of the setting. There is again a setting, but that is in the backdrop. So you don't explain that, but you explain the setting, which is important. Okay. So all of that is you do in story. So a story cannot be built without a plot. You need the basic idea of the story. You need a setting of the story. Okay. It cannot be built without the setting. The third thing is characters, obviously, right? So characters you need in your story because they are the real people in fictional space. So your characters have to look real, right? You cannot have characters who are not real, who do not at least appear. So most of the characters are built out of your personal experiences with people you have met with, or people you don't like, or people you really admire, or people you really love. All of that is your characters. Okay. So characters are basically the real people in the fictional space. And the next thing that you need here is narration. So let's talk about Three Idiots. So Amir Khan is the protagonist. No, characters, let me just explain this to you. Who is a protagonist? Protagonist is the hero, or maybe the lead character who takes the story forward and the entire story revolves around him. He's the protagonist. And then there is an antagonist, just we call antagonist, who is basically the villain of the story, right? So in movies, we see a hero, we see a villain. So in story, we have protagonist instead of hero and antagonist instead of villain, right? So anybody, the lead character in a negative role is antagonist. Okay, so without these two characters, a story cannot be built. I will tell you why. So then there is narration. What is narration? Now let's just talk about Three Idiots. When we talk about Three Idiots, the protagonist of the story is Amir Khan. Antagonist of the story is Boman Irani. And who is the narrator of the story? Who tells the story? It is R. Madhavan, right? Or if we talk about Titanic, who is the narrator of the story? Narrator of the story is Rose, right? Okay, Rose. So there she is the lead character of the story also, and she's the narrator of the story also, if you talk about it. So narration is very important, because what is happening in the scenes, what is happening in the story, somebody has to narrate it also. Somebody has to tell. So somebody who tells the story is, someone who tells the story is narrator. So if you have read Chetan Bhagat's latest release, One Arranged Murder, Keshav is while Saurabh Maheshwari is the protagonist of the story, Keshav is the narrator of the story, right? So all of that you need to understand. Okay, the narration. Now the story needs a plot. I explained you this. And a story needs a setting. How to build all of this, that we will understand definitely. But then yes, the characters, story would need the characters, and then the story would need the narration as well. And then there is something called conflict. Now, when you have a story, there was a king, there was a queen, they died, and the story ends. No, nobody would read it. You have a story that there was a king, there was a queen. Queen was highly ambitious. She murdered the king and she wanted the throne. That's the story. So there is a conflict. So like in Three Idiots, there is a conflict that Amir Khan doesn't approve of the methodology or teaching methodology of Baman Irani. He says that this institute is producing donkeys only, right? Then if we talk about Titanic, Rose is not happy with her marriage with the antagonist, and she is contradicting, or she is questioning her freedom. That is the to her mother, right, or the society. So that is called the conflict. So the conflict, without a conflict, a story cannot reach the climax. A story has to have a conflicts, right? What kind of conflicts can be there? We will discuss that as well. Now, these are the few things that are required in a story. Without these things, a story cannot be built, right? Whenever you are writing a story, you need to have a plot, you need to have a setting, you need to have characters, you need to have narration, you need to have conflict in the story. All right. So here's an expert tip by Orson Scott. Everybody walks past 1,000 story ideas every day. The good writers are, okay, let me just correct this. There is an apostrophe which is wrong. Yeah, the good writers are the one who see 5 or 6 of them. Most people don't see any, right? So if you, like I told you, that you should write or look at everything from a writer's perspective. In the first module, I had explained you that you should look at everything from the writer's perspective, and then only you will be able to build wonderful stories. Okay, fine. So let's just understand. I have given you the basic idea what the plot is, what the setting is, what the characters are, what is narration, and what is conflict. So all of these are needed. These are the basics that you need to build a story around. Okay, now coming on to the next part, which is the types of stories. How many types of stories are there? Okay, you must be surprised that there are these many types of stories actually, right? So yeah, so first is a nano tale. So nano tale is something that is written. Now let me just tell you, there is, I'll just delete this and I write for you types of stories. And I will write it like this: the types of stories. There is something called nano tales. Nano tales are popularly known as captions, or what you call as quotes, written in 6 to 12 words with a deep meaning. Right now, you must be wondering how you create these nano tales. 6 to 12 words. How can you tell a story in 6 to 12 words? No, this is not possible. Here, you do not build any characters. Here, you do not. Here, you do not have a plot. Here, you have nothing, but you have a basic idea. That is, sorry, you do not have any narration, but you have the basic idea here. So let me just show you a few nano tales. So these are a few nano tales. Just a step up to rise high and a step forward towards happiness. This is a nano tale, okay, which you call Did I Just Load the Onesie with Baby in It? Written in 6-7 words, but it is telling a story of a new mother who is so hassled with a new child or the newborn baby that she doesn't even know that if she has loaded the baby in the washing machine with onesie or the jumper in it. Okay, so this is a deep impacted story. Controlling the remotes are controlled by them, right? So this talks about the technology that has taken over the minds of our children and the lives of our children. All right, I can walk on the toughest roads with you hopping by my side. So it's a story that how beautifully a pet can make your life worth living and help you overcome your obstacles in life, right? Now this is a story. They think I'm arrogant, but I just have a different perspective. So this is, when you have a different perspective, people think that no, when you don't go with the flow, what people think, no, that person is very arrogant, right? So that is why you are judged. World's wonders are far beyond 7 for a child. Why? So when we say world's wonder are far beyond 7 for a child, that means that a child doesn't need to look at Taj Mahal or Eiffel Tower for that matter. What they need, just the trash or just the dried maple leaves can give him happiness, right? So this is wonderful for a child. So this is how you build a nano tale, right? A messy children's room is the only lively place. So if a children's room is messy, that means your children are happy, your house is happy. So these are the stories which are called nano tales. When life give you lemons, make mojito and party harder, right? Okay. Now coming on to a happy moment of today is a memory of life, right? Right. They said they needed a fresh face for their campaign. So I just watched it. Okay. Right. So lockdown with humans 2020 is not positive. That means she is not able to use her paws and walk around in the open areas. So this is called a nano tale. This is how you write a nano tale. Now coming on to the next part, which is Twitter tales. So I think in the last module, I took you to my Twitter account. So let's just go once again to my Twitter account. And I will show you a few stories which are written in just 2 lines, or you say it is written in just 140 characters. You don't write any more characters out there. Okay, so let me just take you to my Twitter account. At times this happens that you, right, let me just show you. Okay. See, the heroine walked up to the stage to receive the award. In her acceptance speech, she said, "People always stare at you, talk about you, make it worth their while." Somewhere in the audience, an acid attack survivor felt inspired, right? So you can write, this is written exactly in 140 characters. Okay, this is written exactly in 140. I can't sleep. I feel there's an intruder in our house. Whispered my wife in my ears. I woke up with a jerk only to remember that she was killed by an intruder a month ago. Right? Then you can, okay, let me just show you more. Okay. So this is basically okay, he beat his wife every day and she was now used to it. She quietly stood up, folded the chest and kept it aside. She waited for the next day when she could win the game. Right? He brought her on the top of the hill. A few other men stabbed her from wrists and waist. She pleaded him with folded hands, but he threw her off the cliff. Tears escaped her eyes, and while she was flying in the air, she never knew paragliding would be so much fun. This is these are called the Twitter tales, because Twitter allows you to write only 140 characters. By 140 characters means if you are using a space between 2 words, it is considered as a character. Okay, you have to write Twitter tale in just 140 characters. Okay, all right. So these are called the Twitter tales. So you can follow Stephen King. You can follow Terribly Tiny Tales. I am following a few of them. Let me just show you. Right, I am following. Let me. Stephen King, obviously one of the famous authors that you should follow. Then you can follow Author Inc.'s publication, Brian Dean. Okay, this is not for you, but then I will just let you know that what all you can follow. There are a few Twitter tales that you can follow, right? Micro flash fiction. You can follow this. This is one of the 100-word story, best micro fiction, a small fiction, short story month, shortly, very short story. All of that is you can follow on Twitter for Twitter tales. All right. So these are a few accounts that you should follow on Twitter tales. Now coming on to the next part, which is, let's just understand mini tales. Mini tales are basically written in 50 to 55 words. So I told you nano tales, then comes Twitter tales. They are written in 140 characters, right? So now I will show you more, which is mini tales. So mini tales are basically written in mini tales. They are basically written in 50 to 55 words. So here it comes words the first time, right? So let me just show you a few mini tales also, which are written in 55 words. So let's see. Okay, the baby extended his hands to play with his father. He usually played sitting on his belly before sleeping. The little crackles enlightened the entire house. He didn't know that his father had slept forever while serving the nation. His future was in dark. Okay, this should be was in dark. The only light was his mother, right? This is a mini tale that is written in usually 50 to 55 words. Now let's just see. She had lit the stage on fire and stole the show. Her rhythmic moves, her grace, her poise wasn't unheard of in the world. Those silent eyes held 100 stories of pain and grief. No one knew that she had killed everything else to keep the ancestral theater alive, right? So this is a Twitter tale. So when you are writing these Twitter tales, when you are writing these, mini tales, you have to keep in mind that you do not build characters here. You don't need characters here. You can start with she, or you can start with anonymous he. You don't have to even name the character. It's absolutely fine if you do not even name the character. It's just that because the reading span would be only 2 seconds or maybe 3 seconds of the reader. So what you need to do is that you need to engage the reader in what is happening in the next line. That is, so the first line will be the hook. Okay, right? Now coming on to the next thing, which is called drabbles. Drabbles are stories which are written exactly in 100 words, right? So there you use or choose every word very wisely. You do not write at the present time, you write now, right? So my opinion, you never write you instead write I opinionated, so that you choose less words. So everything you have to say everything in the less words. That's important. So while writing these Twitter tales, while writing these short stories, every word is important. So you need to choose one word instead of two, right? Like I told you in the previous module, that you do not use adverbs, you do not use very, you do not use suddenly, absolutely, rarely. All of that is not required. They are called the fluff words anyway in your writing. But if you use them, you will not be able to write anything in 100 words. Okay. So, or maybe in 50 words. So, creating stories in 50 words or maybe creating story in 100 words is not very easy, but let me tell you, it's not very difficult either. Okay, so let's just understand a few more drabbles. Drabbles is exactly the 100 word story. So let's just see, written in 100 words. Okay, let me just go back to the the drabbles here. Let's just read this one. So, oh wow, new cycle. Now look at the picture behind the content. Oh wow, new cycle, said a young Mira with sparkling eyes. She tried to hop on. Her father said, leave it, it's for your brothers. You'll hurt yourself, you don't know how to ride. She insisted that it was no rocket science and she could learn it. It's better that if you learn to cook round chapatis. Mira never touched the cycle again. A decade later, her father boarded a flight to Singapore, right? Since it was his first air travel, he struggled to fasten the seat belt when the announcement said, Captain Meera Raj is the pilot in command today. Right? So, the very strong. So, a drabble has to give a very strong message. Let me tell you, because that is imperative. Because what you're doing, you are doing in a drabble, you are not building any characters, you are not building any plot, you are not building any narration, you're not doing anything. What you're doing is you are leaving a strong message to your reader, right? So there is a book which I recommend you to read for drabbles. If you can see it, this is available on Amazon. Let me just show you. I just bought it. This is very easily available on Amazon, and I'll just show you from my Amazon account. Right, your orders. I just ordered it and I really liked it. This is written by people in three generations. So see, this is the book basically that you can order from, A Symphony of Drabbles by Three Generations. This is the paperback version. If you want the Kindle edition, it is available at 80 rupees. Okay, and this is one of the, I really liked the way drabbles were put. Okay, so if you want to read a drabble, it's here. Okay, now this is called the 100 word for, or you can go to my Instagram account. I write a lot of drabbles and they are being posted on my Instagram account. You can visit it there and you can read it there. Okay, fine. So these are called drabbles. Drabbles are written exactly in 100 words. It's not 99 and it's not 101. It is exactly 100 words. Okay, so this is quite tricky while writing. So if you're writing, you can replace one word instead of two, right? If you're trying to write, she felt shy. So instead you can write she shied, right? So you have to be very wise in choosing the word. Okay, she say she was skeptical, right? You want to write that she was skeptical, so you can write she contemplated. Use the words wisely. Instead of two, use one word. Okay, so that is how you write a drabble, because you have to tell a lot in just 100 words. So you drabble, in a drabble you do not write it in 99 words and you do not write it in 101 words. What you do is you write it exactly in 100 words. Now coming on to the next part, which is flash fiction. Flash fiction is a story that is written between, this is called flash fiction, which is written within, say, 450. Minimum words are 450 and maximum are 500. So here the idea is that you have one character, one or maximum one or two characters. Too many characters you cannot have in this story, because you will not be able to build them. So in the next module, when we learn about how to build characters, you will understand that how to build characters. So that we will understand in the next module. But in a flash fiction, there is not much words to build your characters. You know, there is not much scope for you to build your characters, so you should not have more than one or two characters. Okay, and then it should have only one setting. You understand? Only one setting. It should have a plot and it should have a conflict. All of that is there. It should have a narration also, right? But the narration should be either the protagonist or the antagonist, whosoever it is, but you cannot have more than one, two characters in this. And then you have the short story, like you read in Jeffrey Archer and Thereby Hangs a Tale. That's a collection of short stories. Or you read 30 Women, 30 Stories by Cecilia Ahern. That's a collection of short stories. Okay, so short story is written in 2000 to 3000 words. You can have say 4 to 5 characters here, because there is enough space to build characters. Obviously it would need a very strong plot, a setting, maybe one or two, and also a setting and the narration and the conflict, obviously, and then the story will also reach a climax here. Okay, so this is something that you do here. Now coming on to the next thing, which is a novel. So novel may have more than 5 characters, but do not have, if you read Sydney Sheldon, you know, there one of her books, she has somewhere around 10-12 characters in her book. But the point is that she has an art of building the character. If you have not excelled the art of building a character, is basically telling the reader about his personality, what he likes, what he does not like. If you do not have that art of creating, it is building a character is all about creating real people in the fictional space, so that your character or the person comes to life when the reader is reading a novel. So if you're not able to do that in limited words, do not add too many characters. The mantra is add only characters that they are required in your story. If somebody is not required, just don't. Like if you go for any multi-starrer movies that we watch, like Houseful 4, many characters are there, but are they adding any value to the story? No, they are not. Right? So if a character is not adding any value to your story, just don't build or just don't have that character in the story. There is no point having a character and then killing the character. No, don't do that. Even in the murder mysteries or the thrillers that you are writing, don't do this mistake of building a character and then killing it because it is not adding value, or he or she is not adding value to your story. So don't do that. Okay, instead not have the character at all. Okay, and then what is the so these are the types of stories that you write. Novel can be written in 8,000 to 12,000 or to maybe 15,000 words. Okay, so depends how much do you want to write. Okay, now coming on to what is the most important thing that will engage you towards a story. The most important thing that will ask you to read me. Is it the title? When it comes to social media, it is mostly the title, right? When it comes to social media, or we are reading an article or a blog, it is mostly the title that attracts you towards a particular story. But here it is not the title. Even if the title is not very engaging, or even if the title is not very catchy, what you do is you actually read if it is your favorite author, you also read. Okay, I would not say the title doesn't matter at all. It matters to an extent, but if it is your favorite author, like I said, Cecilia Ahern, her book is 30 Women, 30 Stories. That's not a very catchy title. Yet I bought it and I wanted to read it because I knew that she's my favorite author. So here, the title is not only the thing that you need to um, pick up while reading a book. So what makes you read a particular book is the opening line in a story, right? Or what makes you read the particular story, it is the opening line of the story. So why opening lines are important, right? Why opening lines are important, what purpose does it serve to the reader, and how to write good opening line is something that we are going to discuss in this class today. So the expert tip is, but there is one thing I am sure about: an opening line should invite the reader to begin the story. It should say, listen, come in here, you want to know about this. This is by Stephen King. So when Stephen King says that opening line is important, then it is really important. You cannot ignore the opening line. So what is an opening line? Opening line can be a hook, a tool to take your story forward, introduction to your imagination. Whatever you are imagining can be the introduction. So let me just give you this article. Let me just show you this article this is on Bored Panda. If you want to, opening lines, just make a Google search, opening lines Bored Panda. So if you are trying to find some opening lines, there are a few opening lines on Bored Panda that you can read. So one of the opening lines that I remember is from Charles Dickens' The Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of time, it was the worst of time, right? So that is the opening line that has still caught my attention. I still remember it. You normally remember the story just because of the opening line, right? So coming on to a few opening lines. This is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy lies a small, ungraded yellow sun. Right? Then you have a Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, which is It Was a Pleasure to Burn. Okay. 1984 by George Orwell. Okay, wow. It was a bright, cold day in April and the clocks were striking 13. So let's just understand what opening line, when it is the hook. So you have to create an opening line that the reader is, obviously, the purpose of the opening line is that the reader is glued to the story and they don't need leave the story in between. So what happens is, let's just see, when you create a hook, the sky has been green for 24 years. Suddenly it was blue. So what is the hook? The hook is what happened next. So this is by Philip George Farmer, Behind the Walls of Terror. Okay. The sky has been green for 24 years. Suddenly it was blue. So this is the opening line that talks about that, okay, why it turned blue? What happened? Right? So all of that is creating a hook to the reader that they would want to read it further, that why it turned blue. Okay. And then there is a tool to take your story forwards. To opening line, it was a bright cold day. Now we just read it. It was a bright cold day in April and the clocks were striking 13. George Orwell. So what happened next is basically that it is a tool to it's taking your story forward, right? And then an introduction to your imagination. What your imagining? This is the traditional opening line, what we call once upon a time there was a woman who discovered she had turned into a wrong person. This is by Annie Taylor, Back When We Were Grown-Ups. So all of these are wonderful reads if you want to read Behind the Walls of Terror. This is by, you can take the note of these books if you want. You can order them and you can read them. They are wonderful reads. They are available on Kindle as well. So Behind the Walls of Terror. This is 1984. The name of the book is 1984. Back When We Were Grown-Ups. Okay. Now these are the opening lines. So let's just understand. So I might have to, I guess, stop to share the video because my internet bandwidth is a little low right now. So now coming on to we have understood what the narrative is, now how to write an opening line is something that you need to understand. Okay, now we have reached the closing line, but then yes, we'll understand the opening lines first. Okay, so how to write an opening line is something that we need to understand. So opening line is basically, like I told you, that it is a hook. It can be the tool to create your take your story forward, or it can be your imagination, just the description of your imagination that you are doing, right? And I have also given you, just you can just go to Google and check the sources of opening lines. Okay. Now, how to write opening lines? I'm just giving you some example. I'm just opening the Word file again. How to write opening lines. I mean, many people have this problem that I don't know how to start my story, where to start my story from. I get very confused with that. So I'm going to help you with that now. So how to write opening lines. So you can start with a generalization, anything which is very general, a fact that is, or a truth that is universally acknowledged, right? So like I told you that, say, a single man. Now the opening line from, I'll just open this one, the Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. So this is a truth that is, proven universally. It is acknowledged that any man who is doing good may want to get married. Okay, so this is a truth. You can start with a general statement. This is a general statement that you can start with. Okay, this is called the generalization. Then the next thing that you can do is obviously the traditional introduction. Which is, you introduce your character, or you, like you read in, like I showed you in this one. This is a traditional intro. Once upon a time, there was a woman who discovered she had turned into a wrong person. This is a general description, right? So this is a general introduction that you can use in your writing. General intro, traditional introduction. Then you can have a description of a person, right? Description of a person, like you can say that he was lifting his knees high and putting his hands up when I first saw him. So this is basically the description of a person, what the person is doing. Like she sat all curled up in her chair and holding tears in her eyes. So you're describing a person. So if you have understood what descriptive writing, in the previous module, we had understood what descriptive writing is all about, right? So you can go to the previous module if you do not understand descriptions, but when with the description of a person, you can start the opening line, right? Now you can start with a question like, let's say, what would you do if you had $1 million and no one to spend it with? Like, what would you do, right, if you had $1 million and no one to spend it with, right? All of that. Then description of a setting, like the one you read here in the, I showed you the here. It was bright cold day in April and the clocks were striking 13, right? It was bright summers in the New York City. So, or you can start with a description of a setting. Description of a setting. This is basically, that is how you can start. Then directly, or maybe with a past memory or background. With a past memory or background. So what you do, I showed you that example also, the past memory or the background. Let's just say this one. See, once upon a time, there was a woman who discovered she had turned into a wrong person. Or you can say that once upon a time, when I was young. So if you go here and see some of the opening lines, that Noah Praveda were proud to say, this is a past memory. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Private Drive were proud to say that they were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. So this is a past memory, right? Then you can start with maybe with action, right? With action, like I crouched in startling position, hands poised on the track and back coiled like a spring. All of that you can start with giving a background on a character, with giving a background on a character. Like you have read in Charles Dickens, The Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of time, it was the worst of time. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was epoch of belief, and it was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. You're giving a background to a person, right? So this is again a background to a person. All children except one grow up. So these are a few ways to create your opening lines. So you can create your opening lines very easily. And then the last is basically the inversion technique, which is the most important thing. That means you write the opening line with in a passive voice. This is called the inversion technique. So what you do is you bring in the emotion first and you write the subject later. So this is basically a vivid way to start a sentence. It would add more intensity or drama to your story, and it will be a catchy phrase anyway. And it can also, definitely it can be used as a creative write, but it will make your writing more impactful. So that is something that you can, like, when you say he rushed out of the house, this would be as normal line that you can use in your any of your stories in between. But what if you have to start it with started with the opening line, or you want to use it as you want to show the scene that the person is rushing out of the house. So what you do is you just use the quick as a flash. He rushed out of the house. That means you are showing that there is something wrong and the reader is hooked that what is wrong. Okay, so this is basically the emotion that you have brought in front is basically the inversion technique. You are writing in passive voice. So you say she thought too much, or you say she contemplated, but she chose to live, right? This can be one line. But if you have to use it as an opening line, what you can do is without stopping to think, she decided to live, right? So this is how you create the impact in, let me just give you one more example. It was one sunny morning in summers of 1987, right? So let me just write it this way, that now that the morning had arrived, the summers of 1987 had turned brighter. So this is how you write an opening line. So okay, let me just give you one more. She whispered, she was bewildered, let's just say, and whispered to him, right? If you want to use this sentence as a opening line, you will use the inversion technique and you will bring the whisper in the first. So you can write it like, in barely a whisper, she said it all to him. This will become an opening line, because the reader will be hooked or glued here that what is that she has said. Okay, then she warned him of the consequences of falling in love with her, yet he fell and shattered. This is maybe a line that you can use in between, in middle of any of your chapters. But if you have to start your story with this, you can use the inversion technique, that without a word of warning, he fell in love with her and shattered. Right? So this is how you write an opening line, because opening lines are the most powerful lines that you should use in your writing. So you can go here and read about all of these opening lines. So their eyes were catching ships at a distance, have every man's wish on board, right? Justice, you get justice in the next world. In this world, you have the law. In the land of Ingari, where such things as 7 league boots and cloaks of invisibility really exist, it is quite a misfortune to be born the eldest of the three, right? So this is the inversion technique that is being used, right? He could have written very easily, right? She could have written very easily that, okay, I was born the eldest of the three, but she has used the inversion technique here, right? All this happened more or less. This is again the inversion technique, right? Then the story so far, in the beginning, universe was created. In the hole, in a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit. This is again the inversion technique. This is called the inversion technique that you can use in your writing. Okay. So to create the opening lines or to write the opening lines, the inversion technique is the most powerful technique that you can use to hook the reader into your content, to let the reader imagine that what is going to come next, because all of that is obviously something that you need to, something that is to be contemplated, something that will keep your reader hooked all the time. Okay. Now coming on to the next part, which is the closing lines. Now when the story has to close, when the story has started, it has to come to an end also. So when your opening lines are so powerful, you cannot ignore your closing lines as well. So closing lines are also very important. So why are closing lines required? You need to end a story. You have to create the hook. If you're writing a series of book like Harry Potter, so every story has a hook to the next one, and then you leave some food for thought, or you leave a reason for the reader to contemplate and relate to the story. Okay. So here, let's just see an expert tip. A man, sorry, I just, yeah. Expert tip, there is no real ending. It's a place where you stop the story. So until you bring your climax, until you bring your, show the big fight, until you have created the conflict big enough for the reader to, find a solution himself, do not end the story. So you have to end the story there. So how you do that, that we will discuss definitely. And now coming on to the next thing, that there are many ways to end your story. So I will tell you a few how to end your story. There are a few things that you need to end your story with. And your story is, how do you end your story? There is something called a circular ending, right? Now here the story will, this is a thing that is a story that does a full circle and comes back to the beginning. Like all is well in the beginning, all is happy and well in the beginning. Then there is a conflict, there is a problem, people find it difficult to, like I say, the movie Amar Akbar Anthony, you know, that is all is well and happy, and in the end all becomes happy again, right? If you watched Amar Akbar Anthony, this has come to the full circle. Okay. Now coming on to the next one, the, or maybe the Three Idiots is also coming to the full circle, because everybody feels happy after that, right? So then the next one is the moral ending. The moral ending of the story, it is something that it is an ending where you actually see the characters' growth throughout the novel and how far have they come. So let's just say Queen. If you watched Queen, that is the moral ending, that the character that started from somewhere, she was she lacked self-confidence, and then eventually she became a confident woman. So that is the moral ending, where you see the growth of the character and how far they have come, right? And then there is a surprise ending. So this is mostly in the thriller stories where you do not know what happened next, right? So if you have watched, say, the story takes us to a place where we get surprised that, okay, let's say if you have watched Ab Tak Chappan, one of the best movies that I have seen for surprise ending, or one of the best stories that I have heard for surprise ending. Then you have the capturing emotion ending, right? That this is this would make the reader feel very emotional. It will leave the okay, I don't say that emotional is about crying only. If the reader may feel happy, the reader may feel sad, the reader may feel related to the story or related to the characters of the story. The reader will develop a emotion for the characters of the story. Like if you have seen in Car, it is based on the sexual harassment at workplace. So that's a very emotional story that will leave you with a this thing. Now coming on to that reflection. Reflection is when the character looks at everything that they have achieved, experiences, and gone through. So this is the basically Milkha Singh or MS Dhoni. This is reflection ending. Then now coming on to cliffhanger and ending. There is something called cliffhanger ending. So the cliffhanger ending is very common in novel series. Like I tell you, Sarkar, then came Sarkar Raj. So you leave the story at a place where you can start a new story from. That is called a cliffhanger ending. Then you have the humor ending, which is leave the reader actually laughing in splits. Okay. So if you read Mrs. Funny Bones of Twinkle Khanna, that is the humor ending basically. And then there is the question ending. Question ending. The question ending is that the ending that leaves the reader thinking about or contemplating about a question that is remained unanswered. So if you talk about say any of the stories, I am not able to recall the name, but then if you have read okay, if you have read Jeffrey Archer's Thereby Hang a Tale, there is a story wherein a man actually commits a crime to spend the winters in the jail, right? Because he doesn't have woolen clothes and he doesn't have warm clothes, and he spent the winters in the jail. Purposely commits a crime, and at the last, he was found dead on the roads of London due to winter, due to cold. He was cold, terribly cold, and he was found dead on the road, and he couldn't. He was too weak to commit a crime, right? So this is the question ending: that where is our society going, or what was the benefit of doing all this? So that is called the question ending. So all of these are basically the ending, and then there is an image ending, but this is normally possible in movies where the uh, uh, but let me just tell you, this image ending is when you leave a story on a scene, right? And then the dialogue ending. Dialogue ending is when you read a story with or end a story with a dialogue, which is a very powerful dialogue, and people will contemplate about it. Okay. So all of that is, these are the ways to end your stories. Okay. So let's just look at the other things coming on to publishing and marketing. So I hope you understand. So rest of the things in story, like building the narrative pace, building characters and all of that, we are going to cover in the next module. But these are since basics of story writing, so I've covered the basics already. Now coming on to the next part, which is, now let's just see an expert tip here. Okay, publishing and marketing. So publishing and marketing, there are ways to publish your story. But before you publish your work, do not uh, at least, let me just tell you, Chetan Bhagat wrote for 10 years before his first book was published. J.K. Rowling wrote for almost 8 years before her first book was published. So don't rush into publishing. Don't think that there's a very famous saying that somebody says that there's a famous writer who says that you start writing thinking that you are writing great while you are writing crap. You evolve as a writer gradually when you write. So if you have written a story today, do not think about publishing, or maybe in the first year of writing, do not think about publishing your book of short stories. Don't do that. So at least write for a few years before you think about publishing. So don't rush. Go through the writing process. I have explained the writing process in the previous module. What is the writing process that you have to go through? Never publish your first draft. You would have to go through the research work. You have to go through uh, the editing, the re-editing, proofreading, and all of that, cutting the fluff and all of that we had discussed in the previous module. That how do you go through the writing process, and then you only prepare your manuscript. Okay, so ask yourself these questions: who is your audience? Who's going to read your book, right? and what value will you add to your readers' lives. So if you're reading any of the book, so obviously if it is not entertaining you, or if it is not giving any message to you, or if it is not engaging you, if it is not giving you a dose of vocabulary, you think the book is useless. Okay, so that is why you need to decide that what is the value you will add to your audience or to your readers before you start or think of publishing your book. Okay, now the next thing is, what is the core idea of your book? You should be very clear about your plot. Write it in 4 or 5 lines or sentences at a place, and then think that has anybody written about this topic or not. So if you're repeating the topic, then obviously some work is already published there, then no, the reader will not be engaged with your work. Okay. And then what are the competitive books? Who are the competitive authors? If you have chosen a plot which is very common, that you must think about the competition, and why should reader choose yours, right? Why do they not read the other author's book? Why do they read your book? Okay, so don't rush into publishing, because publishing is something that comes at a later date, okay, or later stage. The next thing is, always prepare a manuscript. Manuscript is prepared that you have to divide your content into chapters. So in the next class, we will learn about the linear and non-linear narrative, wherein I will tell you that how to divide your content in the chapters. Then re-edit to cut the extra weight. Obviously, cutting the extra weight is cutting the fluff, cutting the adverbs, cutting the redundant phrases. All of that we had discussed in the previous video. If you have not watched the previous video, go back and watch it. Okay, proofread before publishing. So proofreading is very important. Proofreading can be done on Grammarly, Hemingway, on a lot of other apps. But then yes, the punctuation has to be right, the grammar has to be right before sending your work to the publisher. Okay, so an expert says a person who publishes a book willfully appears before the populace. Now let's just pay attention to this. A person who publishes a book willfully appears before the populace with his pants down. If it is a good book, nothing can hurt him. If it is a bad book, nothing can help him. So this is by Edna St. Vincent Millay. And here she says that once your book is there in the market, your image will start to uh, uh, your image will start to build or shatter as an author. So if your first book has caused any damage to your image as an author, your next book is definitely not going to work. That is why it is imperative that you wait, go through the writing process before you look for publishing. So there are basically 3 types of publishing. There is, okay, that slide is not here, but then yes, I will tell you there are 3 types of publishing. One is the, say, traditional publishing. That you go to a publisher. So let me just tell you the best publishers in India. Obviously, Penguin India. Then you have Juggernaut Publications, the one who publishes Twinkle Khanna. Then you have Juggernaut. Then you have HarperCollins. Then you have Half Baked Beans. These are good publishers. Obviously, Notion Press, Author Press. These are good publishers. They will publish your book. That is called traditional publishing. You send your manuscript to your publisher, and then they publish your work. Okay, so this is the traditional way of publishing. And then there is something called e-publishing, right? Let me just tell you how to do that. E-publishing. E-publishing happens on Amazon Kindle. So if you have an Amazon account, you can just go to, it's very easy. Let me just tell you, kdp.amazon.in. You can log in through your regular Amazon account. I'm sure everybody has an Amazon account. So you can log in here. Let me just, you can log in here and see, create a title. So book content, book cover, description, keywords. So do you want an ebook or you want a paperback? All of that is, you can decide. Like I said, that if you are writing a series of the book, you can create a series, and you can also write the series number there. All right. So this is a draft that I had created, but then yes, I didn't do this. So let me just say I wanted to create a Kindle ebook, and It'll ask for the password. So you can give your book title, subtitle if you want to add series detail. Edition number is when you are republishing your book with some edits into it. So this is basically for non-fiction, not for fiction. Okay, primary author and the contributor if other people have contributors. So contributors, if you're publishing an anthology, anthology is a book wherein multiple authors, uh, uh, wherein multiple authors publish with in the same theme, towards the same theme. So let me just show you one. This is Amazon. This is available on Amazon. I had participated in a few anthologies. Anthologies are basically the books wherein, let me just show you the Lockdown Diaries, right? Let's just see the Lockdown Diaries. If I can find it. No, I can't. Okay, finally, there was a book that was published by one of the publishers. Maybe I don't know if the e-version is available or not. But then a lot of authors, like 20 authors, have given you one story each. So you have 20 stories now. So you can publish that as a book, and it will be considered as anthology. Okay, anthology, if you are publishing it, so you will write the contributor's name, the description. The publishing right is if you are going through a traditional publishing, the publisher will have the publishing right. And the copyright is the person who has created the work, right? The keywords, like when you go to Amazon and you see books about romance, so you can add these keywords. Romance, see, these are the keywords that are ranking. So anything which is auto completing can be used as keyword. Okay, so you can add your keywords here, categories you can set, age and grade and everything that you want to use. And then I am ready to release my book. So next step will be the content, and next step will be the bank details, wherein you the bank details wherein you add in your bank details and you get paid for the sale. Okay, so that is how. The third thing is basically vanity publishing. So I told you the e-version, you can pick e-publishing, and the third thing is vanity publishing. So vanity publishing is something that you should never go for. No. Vanity publishing is when a publisher asks for money, that you have to pay me to get your work published. No, you're giving your content. Why? You should get paid. You should never pay the publisher for getting published. So if you're writing high quality content, publishers will be happy to publish your content. So no, right? Never get into vanity publishing, because that is a very wrong approach to get published. Okay, fine, clear? So this is the publishing. The marketing is normally done through social media channels, Instagram being the best one, Facebook and Instagram being the best one, because if you go to Instagram, there is something called 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, right? So whenever he releases a book, he creates an Instagram club, 5 a.m. Let's just say 5 a.m. Club. See, this is by Robin Sharma. So you can join this, and okay, no, this is not the one. No, this is not the one actually. Yeah, this is not the one, the other one. So you can you can see that, you know, Robin Sharma releases his book and he actually tries to create a club. Like Robin Sharma is the author of the monk who sold his Ferrari, right? So he creates an Instagram account or Instagram page, and he creates a buzz around his book. So that is how you market your. So create a buzz on social media, but then that takes time, because unless you have become a famous author, you cannot leverage social media that easily to get your book published or get your book marketed. Okay, so the marketing is when you're going with the publishing, traditional publishing way, the marketing happens automatically through the publisher. But if it is not going through the publishing, you're going through the traditional publishing, you are going for e-publishing, go publish your content, go market your content on your, leverage your social media handles and market your content as much as you can. That's how you do the marketing. Because, but never go for vanity publishing. Even even when the e-publishing option has closed, please, then even then you don't go for the vanity publishing, because that is never a good idea. Okay, so coming on to expert. Okay, I told you about the expert tip. So this is about the basics of story writing. So story writing is something that really comes naturally you have to read a lot, you have to write a lot, and then only perhaps you will be able to build stories. Okay, so even the stories are fictional, they have to look real, they have to be relatable. So in the next module, we are going to learn, in the next video, we are going to learn about how to build the narrative base and how to develop characters, how to develop settings in your writing, in your stories. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining us.